During this event with the Duke of Edinburgh, the Queen's husband, he spoke to, Peter and I were there with somebody called Maria Jesus, and this Duke of Edinburgh spoke to us. And being an Australian, and Peter, where's Peter from? Canada, yep. And with Maria Jesus, who was from Spain, it was very difficult to understand what he was saying because he had this funny British accent. And he said something like, rah, 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 rah. And Peter looked at me, I looked at Maria, Maria looked at Peter, and nobody knew what to say. So I said, absolutely. And he went, oh, rah, 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 and everything was fine. So there you go. Thank you very much. Thank you, Victor, indeed. 2 years ago, I had the honor of being invited to address you, and we were in a big IMAX. How many of you were in that IMAX? Okay, quite a few. Now, we did a test. It was a cognitive test, all right? Do you remember? With the paper. And as I remember, the failure rate was very, very high. Do you remember? The failure rate, we did an exercise, and it was a very simple test. I mean, it was something that monkeys can do right, mostly. And 95% of the better personnel failed the test. So now, 2 years later, we're going to repeat the exercise. But this time, I promise I'm going to try and do it well, because alone I am hopeless. But if I can find some volunteers to come up here, maybe Tula, Donna, could you come up here? And we need some paper. Can I have some paper? Everybody needs a piece of paper for this. And we are going to see if in 2 years there has been progress. Can we get that light? Can that light be dimmed? Is it possible to dim the light? No? Okay. All right, we're going to do this test. Are you ready? Does everybody have a piece of paper? Yeah? Okay, now look. One of the powers of being in a network is that we develop professionally as we go. So now we need a very, very high success rate. Are we going to get a high success rate? Come on, it's Saturday, it's 12:30. Are we going to get a high success rate? Yeah, and they said that because of Donna and Tula, not because of me. Okay, are you ready? All right, now just don't watch me because I'll get you into trouble. Watch these two. Okay, turn around. All right. Okay, fold the paper to the left, like that. Pat it down and fold it towards you, like this. And, okay, good. Rip off the top right-hand corner, and then finally, one more fold towards you, like that. And last move is to rip off the bottom right-hand corner, like that. Okay, awesome. Now, I feel safer down here because if this goes wrong, these two will not forgive me, okay? Can you put up the correct answers? Tula and Donna, can we see the correct answers? Thank goodness they're the same. Can we see yours now? Let's have them up. Let's have them up. Oh. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Actually, well done, everybody. It's Shh. It was a 95 or 97% pass rate. Well done. Right, it's nice to see you today. I want to just say a couple of words about somebody who is very important in this room. We've just had the celebration of so many people, which was a wonderful, moving experience with a wonderful choir and wonderful speeches. But there's one person who is very, very important and who is often visible but invisible. Yeah? Can you say that? Visible but invisible. And this person is often the main driver of building a community of practice, such as Beda. I have a long experience of trying to do this at the European level and at the global level, and I can tell you it's quite a hard and lonely job. But I just want to say a word of thanks to Adolfo Martinez for all he's done in bringing this together, and especially in bringing me into this. So please, a word of thanks for him. And if he's not in the room, don't worry, he'll see the video later. Okay. All right, awesome. Okay, right. How are you feeling? Can you answer that in British English? How are you feeling? Great. No, now good. Okay, how are you feeling? Good. All right, how are you feeling in Australian English? Good. Hopeless, all right. Okay, do you recognize this man? Do you recognize this man? If anybody recognizes this man and can pronounce his name correctly, they get a prize. Nobody's there, never mind. 25 years ago, this man was in Helsinki, living with his mother, and he was developing something that was absolutely revolutionary. When we listen to the speeches this morning about how much progress has been made in developing English in the Spanish regions, Madrid and others, it is actually quite remarkable, because it normally takes about 30 years to make any major change in terms of learning outcomes. But thanks to the movement here in Beda and the other bilingual schools, the level of English is rising rather fast. Would you agree that the level of English is rising rather fast? Yeah? It's rising actually very, very fast. And for me, it's been a real privilege to be able to follow why and how it's rising, because it's rising basically because of the people in this room. This man did something 25 years ago which has affected every single person in this room. This man is in your handbag. Well, not quite in your handbag, but he's in your handbag, or he's in your pocket. And he is the man called Linus Torvald. He is the man who developed Linux. Can you say Linux in Spanish? Linux. Oh, it's the same, isn't it? That's interesting. Linux was developed by this student and others as the most radical, revolutionary open software operating system. And it was radical because it bypassed, it avoided the big powers like Microsoft or Apple, and it produced something that people could take the principles of, adapt, and use to get good results in their own environment. To me, although Linux is so huge, it reminds me very much of the concept of CLIL when it was first developed, because CLIL was developed very much by practitioners without a strong, almost strict set of guidelines of how it should be operated, but it was developed by practitioners, by researchers later, in order to radically innovate the learning of languages. And what has happened now is that both of these, except this is, come on, oh no, we have a technical. What do I do in a situation like this? Do I freeze and pretend it's not happening? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And what we have now is 10 years of Beda, and in those 10 years, there's been a tremendous amount of development of building the house of integrated language learning. Some of us may call it different things, but what we have is we have this tremendous movement of educationalists who are trying to integrate English language or other languages with genuine content in order to produce a radically different learning experience. And you are part of these people, are you? Yeah? You're part of these people, okay. This house of CLIL, as it develops, is actually getting better and better, because one of the things that happened was that the practitioners led the way, okay? So it was teachers who said, we can do things differently, we're going to experiment. And the experimentation came before the research to validate what was happening. But now the research is catching up, and the whole process of offering quality learning in English is spreading globally like wildfire, actually. The number of schools now in the world which are considered to be bilingual schools, Language 1 and Language 2, are said to quadruple. What does quadruple mean? 4 times by 2030. In other words, the whole focus on offering dual language schools is gaining ground, which makes you pioneers in the schools here in terms of how to do it well. When something becomes popular, people become envious, jealous. People sometimes want a piece of it, you know? And when CLIL was developed, 25 years ago as a concept, by people in Spain, by the way, and people in other European countries, we forecast that there would be hostility coming from some of the big powers in language teaching and in education. So we forecast, I remember very vividly, 25 years ago, expecting there to be conflict, because when something becomes popular, there's a sense of, what's this? Money. How to make money out of it. Linux was developed deliberately to be free. Do you remember? The name was going to be FreeX. CLIL was the same. The most recent development in the last 6 months is that there's a big movement to rename CLIL, okay? They want to rename CLIL, and they want to call it this. Can you read that? Can you just actually read that together on 3, okay? 1, 2, 3. English as a medium of instruction. So you go home this afternoon to your husbands and your wives and your children, and they say, honey, mummy, daddy, what did you do today? I went to a conference on, say it, English as a medium. I feel depressed even hearing you say it. I feel so depressed. I don't know if Karen is here. Is Karen here at the back? Karen, thank you for your comment. What did Karen say about the difference between instruction and, what was the other word? Was it? And education. How good are the better short-term or longer-term memories? Instruction is a yesterday word. And actually, so is English. Because when you look at the research now on a powerful dual language learning experience, you will see that learning in Spanish, learning in English using quality methods strengthens the Spanish as it strengthens the English, as it strengthens the person. It is more than learning English. What you're doing by providing opportunities for these youngsters to learn authentic content using good methodologies in English is much more than learning English. It's actually a different learning experience. And that is very much what the research is showing us. So to me, if somebody comes to you and says, English as the medium of instruction is the new go, 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 then point out to them, actually, what this is basically teaching through monolingual methods. It's assuming that you're all basically monolinguals in one environment, whereas CLIL, or the bilingual education, is using bilingual methods. Okay. Got it? So EMI is yesterday or today? Very much yesterday. All right. Okay. What I'm going to ask you to do is to do one more exercise before we take a break today. In order to do this exercise, we need one piece of paper for two people. Can you organize that? I've got 4 fantastic assistants here. I think we have over there Gloria, do we? Well, is that Gloria? Okay, we've got Anna, Concha, Gloria, and Marta. Can you show yourselves? 1, 2, 3, awesome. Okay, we need one piece of paper for 2 people. Okay, if you could distribute those now, it would be really good. Whilst we're doing that, I want to continue by telling you a story of what is happening out there in the wider world. Okay, listen. As you and your schools become attracting more attention, you will attract conflict. You will attract criticism. Okay? They say that you can always tell a good innovator because a good innovator always has arrows in the back. And what we've seen in Spain recently is that we've seen a certain amount of criticism of the so-called bilingual schools coming from various quarters. That is perfectly normal, okay? That is perfectly normal. But what we're seeing globally is that we're seeing experienced teachers of bilingual education becoming ever more attractive on the market and becoming ever more attractive as leading edge educationalists. Why? Because the methods that you develop to teach well in another language are actually universally good methods across all subjects, which means that the teachers who are in this room and others are what we call the leading edge. That's the front of the, sorry, this thing doesn't work. You know, there are like 6 men back there, and they are brilliant, and I'm begging them to check. Thank you. Okay. And these teachers have skills which are very, very special in terms of integration. Now, 25 years ago, when we integrated language with content, what the people did not realize is that other content subjects would also move on integration. Okay? Integration has become the norm in some of the high-performing educational systems of the world. Can anybody tell me of one country which is fairly often in the news about having a very high-performing educational system? Finland. Ah, Finland. Isn't that interesting? Finland. And how many of you have actually been to Finland? Can I see a hand? Wow, so many Finnish people in this room. That's incredible. Another country, which is a high-performing country in terms of education, for example, PISA or those big. Korea, Estonia, naughty Estonia, which is trying to beat Finland, yes, Estonia and another one more. The Netherlands, yes, the Netherlands is pretty good. The Netherlands is pretty good. Singapore. Okay, if you go to these high-performing countries, they are continuously trying to innovate. And one of the innovations, which you will find done in different ways, is to integrate in different ways. And I want to actually take you from this into Finland. And one thing I want to stress is that there have been 3 major changes happening in those countries. The first one is how we learn languages. This is from a textbook printed in 2016. When was 2016? It was last year, okay? Can you read this with me together? I want you to imagine that you're a young person, an adolescent, and you open up your brand new 2016 textbook, okay? And you're going to read this on the subjunctive mood. Okay, you ready? Together. I wish I were in London now. I wish I hadn't done it. Actually, you sound quite happy. That was quite successful. Let's try it the other way around. I wish I hadn't done it. I wish I were in London now. Try that. I wish I hadn't done it. I wish. Isn't that remarkable? You know, 2 minutes ago, you looked so happy and vibrant and full of energy, and now you look depressed already. And I've only asked you to read 2 pieces of English, which are decontextualized, which don't make any sense except grammatically correct. We know a lot about how to improve and accelerate the learning of languages. We know a lot about how to improve the learning of content. We know that if you take language specialists and you take content specialists and you put them together to talk, just to talk and to plan together, remarkable things can happen which would not happen if the language specialists and the content specialists worked separately and just had a chat over coffee about how good the principal is, or what are those things you talk about in teachers' rooms? Actually, what do you talk about in teachers' rooms? Is it always how good the principal is? Just in your school? Okay, excellent. But there's another thing that we know more about, and that is competence learning. 10 years ago, when Better started, people were talking about the European competencies, or the European something of competencies. Do you remember? And it was kind of boring, because the European set of competencies were made by a committee, a European committee, and it was kind of a boring list. Can you remember any of them? One was to be able to use computers, was it? What were the European competencies? Can you think of another one? It was to be able to communicate. And another one was to learn to learn. Yeah, to learn to learn. What does that mean? It sounds like a song by Duran Duran. To learn to learn. I don't know. When you look at the high-performing systems, they have looked at how to learn languages. It's not just English and foreign languages, it's also the first language, and it's also digital language. They've looked at how to learn content, and they're looking at how to develop competencies. These are the 3 hot potatoes that top-performing schools in top-performing countries are looking at all the time. And I want to take you to Finland, although as we have some Finnish people here, maybe they could like to take over the presentation and give this part. But I'd like to tell you a story coming from Finland. Finland's a funny place. So there were like 15 of you who were in Finland, yeah? Yeah. Yeah, it's a funny place. They say it's like a club, you know? It's so small. I mean, what's the population of Madrid and the outside area? About 5 million, 5, 6, yeah? So that's the size of Finland, okay? So you could lose Finland in Madrid. Finland is very special. Because it's small, it means that things can be innovated and experimented with very quickly, okay? So about 10 or 15 years ago, that long ago, schools and educators, people like us, said, you know, I think we could teach content in different ways. And we think we should do it like this. And they called it phenomenon-based learning. Can you say that together? 1, 2, 3. Phenomenon-based learning. That's interesting. You say it really beautifully. Huh? It's quite a difficult word, phenomenon, but yes, you said it really well. Phenomenon-based learning. Phenomenon-based learning has become an integral part of the Finnish curriculum all across all schools. And what it means is that you take a topic like what? Like the body, and you look at it from the different disciplines. So you look at it from physics, from chemistry, from geography, from physical education, and you have the option of looking at it from English. And you look at it like a 360 degree. You look at this same phenomenon from different angles, okay? The news was that Finland is scrapping its subjects, especially at secondary level. That is not the case. What it is doing is it's building in powerful transversals into the curriculum so that teachers of different subjects work together on a set number of project-based learning experiences which receive full credit within the system. And that's the key thing. It's easy to do experiments because you are a creative and innovative teacher, but they have to be part of the credit system and of the curricular system. So this move towards integration of the whole learning approach is not just happening in Finland, it's also happening in Korea, in Singapore, and in some of those high-performing areas which you can find in countries such as Australia and Canada. And this is where combining that experience with a foreign language or an additional language like English becomes very, very popular. In other words, if you take, for example, here, if you take a project on, let's say, individual health and lifestyle, and this is something that we're doing actually now in Mexico, where the educational level is very low, the English language level is very low, but by building into the curriculum these transversal experiences, we are, in a way, radically changing and upgrading the results. But here in countries such as Finland, you can find this. This is chemistry, biology, physical education, all focused on something to do with individual lifestyle. What topics come under individual student lifestyle? Intoxication? Yeah, maybe. I wasn't looking at you, I was just asking. What else comes under individual lifestyle? Health? Huh? I've got voices in my head. Nutrition. Nutrition, eating habits, etc. So, by putting these three, into a package which is recognized within the curriculum and adding the English, this is the most common experience which we can see in the public school sector in various countries. Now, in the better schools, you have your own separate systems, you have your own ways of doing things. But the future is more integration, I would certainly suggest. Okay, that was the end of the introduction. Are you still with me? Yes. You sure? It's Saturday. All right. You've had a number of wonderful presentations. Yesterday you started with Donna, you had Peter, you had Victor, today Javier. We had various other presentations, and they were mostly looking at the impact. They were looking at how to make things better by doing things in a different way. Is that right? Okay. Can you take that piece of paper that you have now in front of you? Okay. And what I want you to do is, in pairs or in threes, is to reenact something that we did 2 years ago, which was, first of all, to build another paper plane. Okay, last time you did this, you were good. But look at the difference in the test results from our test. But most importantly, I'd like you to spend 2 or 3 minutes answering this question. And I want you to write the answer on the plane, okay? So, the question is, what are our next steps in bilingual education? Not better, not the region, but our, as in we two people. What are our next steps in bilingual education? Can you say that? 1, 2, 3. What are our next steps in bilingual education? It could be marry an Englishman, okay? Or it could be speak to my Scottish corgi dog in Gaelic. I don't know, whatever it is. You have 3 minutes to write the idea on the paper, and then please make the paper into a plane. Okay, let's go.
Do you want that?
Can you turn it off?
I don't know, but
Okay, don't worry.
probably he's going to.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Your talk.
Hi.
Smart.
Okay, 2 minutes. You need to write on the paper and make it into the best paper plane you have ever seen in your lives. Do you have a camera? Can you take a picture?
Yeah.
Okay, can you go up there?
Over there?
No, here.
Yeah. With,
Yeah,
with you and there.
you. No. You. When they throw their aeroplanes.
Ah, okay, I see.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So if you go there now. What's her name?
Sorry?
What's her name? Her name?
Anna.
Anna. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, I think we are almost ready. Can you now stand up, please? Those of you who have the planes, please stand up because we're going to make them fly, okay? Let's stand up, please. Up. Please stand up. Come on, up. Now, okay, stand up with those planes. Up. I think I'm losing control here. Okay, are you ready? Now look behind me. What can you see behind me? Shh. What can you see behind me? Anna. Okay, she's there. Okay, so on 3, I want to see those planes fly, and then we're going to respond to what has been written in those planes, okay? So I'm going to come here so I feel safe, and we're going to look at Anna, and I want you to get ready to make those fly on 3. 1, 2, and 3. Go. Hey. Awesome. Okay. You know what they say, shh. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that was a seriously good one. Thank you. Okay, shh. Right. I'm going to ask my 4 helpers now to collect these planes together. Then we're going to respond to some of these issues, because what we've been listening to the last 2 days is really about what works. You were looking at the power of emotion, with Peter especially, the power of a student, a young person's emotion and the impact of that on learning. With others, you were looking at scaffolding, you were looking at the learning environments. And I tell you, if you go into a high-performing school, that's what you will see in classroom after classroom. You will see something that is not radically different to a traditional classroom, but has these ingredients in it. Now, there is something circulating here. It's a small piece of paper, and it's worth a lot of money, and it looks like this. Everybody needs to have one of these. Do you have one of these? Okay, these are now circulating around the room. They are worth a lot of money, so be very careful not to rip them, otherwise they lose their power, okay? But each one of you needs one of these whilst we wait. Do you have them over there? Do you have these? Not yet. Okay, they're coming to you. All right, good. I'm going to pick out some of these to talk about this future. One of them is connecting subjects, and another one is developing a linguistic plan of bringing all the languages together. Language teaching for you should be starting with English, and it should be moving on to something else very, very fast. And in fact, the work being done on this, what we call plurilingual school approach. Can you say that? It's easy, isn't it? Plurilingual? Plurilingual school approach, where the English and the Spanish and maybe some regional languages, but other foreign languages come together and are taught as a basket together is a very important and popular thing. Where are the planes? Okay. This is not rubbish, this is wisdom, all right? So I'm going to try this one. No, I didn't get that one. To work on methodology to creating a project involving different subjects. Project-based learning and phenomenon-based learning are related. Phenomenon-based learning is project-based learning taken to the next step because it looks at a real-life phenomenon from different perspectives. The response of young people to this kind of project-based learning is really, really good. How many of you have been playing with project-based learning in the last 6 months? Or 12 in the last 12 months? Project-based, how many of you have been engaged in project-based? Yeah, so you know what I mean by how strong that is. And project-based learning in an additional language can have absolutely superior outcomes at the best of times. Here we have more teacher training. What is the best kind of teacher training course that you have ever experienced? Can anybody take us? We've got microphones here. Do we have microphones? Yeah? We've got 2 microphones on either side. The best kind of teacher training experience. Just, describe it. Was it 2 days in England? Was it where somebody from Pearson came to my school, or Cambridge, or Oxford, whatever it's called? What is the best kind of professional development experience that a good teacher could have?
My best teacher experience was when I went to England and we had a teacher course in small groups of 8-10 people, and we were able to participate in each activity we were very deep into the project. So that was my best experience, small group.
I need to do teacher training quite a lot because most of my work involves setting up dual language schools or international schools. I don't believe that taking people out to have an experience is as powerful as immersing them in an environment. And I know that the trips, you've been doing trips to Finland and Estonia. Who was in Estonia? Did some of you go to Estonia? Yeah? Yeah? Was that like an immersion experience? Did you feel that you were going into schools and being able to reflect? Was it a positive experience?
It was great.
It was great. Was it great because of the Estonians or the experience?
It was because Peter and Tula, and also because of the colleagues I met there and all the analysis we did.
All right, that's good, that's good. Can you see the piece of paper that you have in front of you? Yeah? Do you have the small piece of paper there? All right. We've been learning the last 2 days and the conferences before about what makes a really powerful teacher who is also contributing to teaching in English, haven't we? Okay? Now, here is the task. Winner gets a prize. I want you to look at one of those quotes in groups of 2 or 3 people, and say, what idea about being an excellent bilingual educator does this quotation bring to me? Okay? What idea about being an excellent bilingual educator does this quote bring to me? You have 3 minutes to plan, and I'm going to pounce on you, and the doors have been locked, so there is no escape. Okay, 3 minutes, let's go. You're good at this. Okay, that's good. Where is the microphone?
The microphone is over
There.
there. You left there. It is to the wrong.
Okay. Shh. Thank you for the comments on the aeroplanes. And thank you for making them all kind of constructive, nice, and easy to read. Handwriting, brilliant. Content, excellent. And actually, this is not just a game, because these are very interesting. We have, I don't know how many we have there, we have about 100, 150. And they are certain themes that come up over and over again. Number one theme is more integration of different subjects. Exactly what we were talking about, which is happening in Finland, in other high-performing countries. Look at more linkage between subjects. Why? Because it makes the learning relevant for the kids, and it introduces the opportunity to develop competencies more easily. And quite frankly, as a teacher, it's more fun. Do you like fun? Is fun part of the working in the better schools? Yes, okay. All right. So that's one. The second one is project-based learning, PBL, which comes up over and over again. Again, that is related to can't we teach in slightly different ways. Another one relates to the idea that this movement of improving English is going to spread right across the public school system of Spain. Do you see that happening, or do you see this as remaining strongly in the private system? Do you see this opportunity of developing children's English as spreading throughout the public system as well? Yeah? So what does that mean about you as individuals? Does that mean that you are also placed as particular experts who have been working in the field for some time? Almost certainly it does. Another one is more assistant teachers. What does that mean? Does that mean, what are assistant teachers? These are the more language assistants, okay. And then here we work on methodology, 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 methodology. So if you look at half of these, I think they are saying, I want to learn more about methodology. And at the heart of being a good teacher, that is perfectly, perfectly understandable. And I think that for Beda is also the direction of what are those methodologies that can work. And you know, the key about methodology, it's not so much learning how to do something myself in the classroom, it's learning to do things with my colleagues in a different way. That is the power of developing new methodology. Okay, those little bits of paper, I'm going to come back up here because this is what we call the sleeping zone in an auditorium, just underneath the balcony. This is where people feel safe and they can switch on their mobile phones. Can you read us what that quote was? Can you stand up and tell us who you are? Okay, this is entirely voluntary, no pressure, all right? Absolutely no pressure. Stand up. Tell us who you are and then read that quotation.
Okay, my name is Mar Burillo and I come from Divino Maestro School and I'm an English teacher in 6th grade. I also teach PE in English and 4th grade too. And well, I'm going to read this one now. Expecting all children the same age to learn from the same materials is like expecting all children the same age to wear the same size clothing.
And what did that make you think in terms of being a good bilingual educator?
Not all the kids learn from the same material. We need to adapt our materials to our students.
Good project-based learning does actually enable that to happen. It enables a diversification or individualization of learning. Good. Let's take another one over here. May I? Yeah.
Well, the paper says, we spend the first 12 years of a child's life teaching it to walk and talk, then the next 12 years telling it to sit down and be quiet.
It's funny, they were laughing, yeah? Can you read that one more time, because it sounded really, really interesting.
Yeah, it says, we spend the first 12 years of a child's life teaching it to walk and talk, and then the next 12 years telling it to sit down and be quiet.
And what did that make you think as a group?
Well, we all agreed that 12 years is actually too old. I think we even start earlier. Spanish schools list. And yeah, we were talking about how frustrating it can be for a child sometimes to be in a class where you have to be quiet and it's maybe not natural. So, yeah, that contradiction.
Give him a clap, will you? Because he was very brave. In 2010, when Beda started, the children in our schools were slightly different to the children in our schools now of the same age. 2010 is how many years ago? Okay, 7, thank you. Are you a mathematician? Okay. Why have those kids changed? Those kids have changed because of what we talked about 2 years ago, which was the impact of digital lifestyle on them. We are seeing a very fast rise in the number of hours that young people are using devices. We're seeing a sharp rise in the multitasking they are doing at the same time, which is very interesting because if you're doing one thing with a computer, that is different to doing 3 things with 2 or 3 machines. And we are seeing a rise in the number of devices that these young people have, which is now going up to about 4. And all of these 3 are having a very big impact on how young people learn. And it's having an impact also on something else, yeah, I know, I'm not trying to say I'm fat, but on their bodies. So if you go to some very innovative schools, you will find that they are introducing, for example, some standing lessons, even with 13, 14, 15-year-olds. And some of the subjects which are particularly suitable for standing lessons, where basically you take the chairs out of the classroom, are those which are based on project-based learning, where the students are working in groups. So actually, when Beda started, those young people were slightly different. And there have been other quiet revolutionary things happening, one of which is that in the old days, in the bad, bad old days, in a galaxy far, far away, is that right? Primary school teachers were considered to be less advanced as secondary school teachers. But in the wise systems, we've learned that actually primary teachers and secondary teachers have an awful lot to learn from each other, and that if you get it wrong at the beginning, it will stay wrong for a long time. So this whole issue of how we treat those kids as they grow older has been very interesting. Can I ask you to tell us what you've got, if it's a good one? Yeah, you hand it to her. Okay.
The art of teaching is the art of assisting discovery.
The art of teaching is the art of assisting discovery. And what did that make you think?
We thought about making kids understand that a language is useful, and making activities so they can use it and find the use of it.
Every child a scientist. Classic Vygotsky. Can you pick somebody? Pick anybody who's smiling out of context.
Mine is education is what survives when what has been learned has been forgotten.
Ooh. And what did you think?
That even if our students don't learn much English, they are still being educated.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Remember, yeah, sorry.
no, I think that this is very positive.
Yeah, I think so too. Remember the power of the emotion. We have a problem with these young people and the digital lifestyle, and it's a problem of noise. I don't mean noise, but I mean noise. Their lives are becoming overstimulated, and they are becoming overstimulated. In a brand new school that I'm working on, which is a 2,000-child K-12 school in Asia, one of the key issues is how much money has to be invested in technology so that the children all have enough equipment to work. And when I gave the figure, it was very low. And they said, no, this must be wrong. Mr. Marsh, you've got it wrong. How can we have an iPad for every student if this is the amount of money in the budget? I said, you don't need an iPad for every student, because every student's probably got an iPad at home anyway, and now is the time to get the iPads out of the classroom, because now is the time where the teacher, as an adult, as a guide, as a mentor, the role of that teacher is becoming ever more important. The rates of depression in Britain, this is the biggest study that I've seen recently of 13-year-old girls, is astronomical. It's astronomical. And it's the loneliness resulting from a digital world. So those times are changing very, very much. And over here, we're going to have one more over here. Could you pick somebody who is a volunteer and doing this entirely happily? Preferably male with glasses. No, not that one. Okay, offer them €5. Awesome.
The test says learning by construction, not just by instruction.
Learning by construction, not just learning by instruction. And what did that make you think?
I think you have to to construct, always you have to construct everything in all your life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's very, very, very important for the students to construct with them, and they have to construct themselves.
Okay, yep. When you look at the navigating the digital world, these students are learning navigation and they're learning by construction. Do we need to change the way we teach because of the digital world? No, we don't. But do we need to be sensitive to the preferred learning styles? Yes, we do. And I know you already do that because this is what the better schools are showing in terms of the methodology. And this is probably one of the reasons why you have a celebration here where more and more schools are being accepted into this bilingual family of schools. What I'd like to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, is yes, I have come a long way with this path, about 25 years of working on integrating languages. Now that I'm in a way, I've stepped outside it and I'm looking at it from a distance, I'm seeing that the move towards good bilingual education is a credit to everybody involved, including the teachers, including the students, including the schools. So congratulations to you all, and we're going to end this conference right now. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.